Today we're going to talk about some harsh realities of running a business. You know, we've had it before where we've had big stills to get in, and so I've had 6 guys there. It's costing you what, $2,000 probably in labour. The stills never show up, and there was nothing else to do apart from the stills. Just fucking $2,000 down the drain. Do you know what I mean? And it's like
you can do about it.
But this is the sort of stuff, and it's like you can't. It's just you have to suck this stuff up all the time. You come from a trade, and you're not super like entrepreneurial. There's not loads of business you could probably jump on that are going to be better than doing what you know best.
A few years ago, me and Luke had a few quid put away, and we were like, let's start a scaffolding business. We know nothing about scaffolding. I was a labourer for a scaffolding company for like a month, and they fired me. So we found a van for like 10 grand. We were trying to find a couple of companies we could buy the equipment from, and then I think me and Luke actually had a discussion. We were like, this ain't a good idea, man.
Behind the architect's back, they appointed us. We then met the architect. The architect was a bit iffy, but then after that, they ghosted us.
Would you recommend somebody to get into the building game the same way you have?
In the most respectful way, yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the Multipliers Club. Today we're going to talk about some harsh realities of running a business. I think when we first set out on the podcast, we spoke about talking about not just the highs, but a lot of the lows. We do cover on here, I feel like we've covered quite a lot of the time, some nightmare stories, and that is on next week's episode as well. But often a bit more comical stories, a bit funnier, whereas I think today we'll talk about some genuine, just day-to-day... Serious headaches. The tough side of running a business. Business entrepreneurship online can just be so glamorized, isn't it? And it is not glamorous for 95% of the time. So, let's talk about...
You go, Joe. You go. What's the downs?
I think just generally, the industry that I'm in is just a tough one. And I think the risk reward is imbalanced in this industry. So sure, when you're talking big numbers, if you're trying to make, like, as a premium company, we look to try and make 30% margin, and that's higher for the industry, really. And of course, if you're turning over multi-millions of pounds, making 30% or 20% after all your overheads and stuff is, 20% of 5 million, £1 million a year, like, happy days. But at the same time, it's very, very easy to lose money, and you never really have examples where you earn crazy money. Like, you're always limited to that quite tight margin. Yet, for instance, like, let's just talk about a few examples of that happened in recent times, yeah? So, for instance, we had someone put a toilet at the wrong height in a bathroom. All of our stuff's high end, so yeah, 20%, like I say.
How high?
High end, high end toilets going too high.
How high is the fucking? What do you mean it's too high?
So like, for instance, on the height they wanted the toilet,
how far was it out? We talking like a couple of centimeters, inches?
No, I don't know what it is out, but basically it needs to get changed. So you have to take that off. You have to smash off some tiles. We have to buy some new tiles. Everything that our clients go for is always expensive. We then have to pay for the labour. That's just going to cost us £1,000. Another examples is stuff that's just not even our fault really as well. Like, we needed scaffolding, right? We had charged £12,000 for some scaffolding. It cost us £9,000. We'd made £3,000. We now needed additional scaffolding, which cost us £1,800. It's not additional in terms of the job. It's just our guys ended up needing some more scaffolding. Scaffolders aren't going to come back and do it for free. So we just end up sucking up that £1,800. So we only made £3,000. Now we're down to £1,200. If that happens again on the job, all of a sudden you've made no money. Do you know what I mean? It's the same with zinc going around, like the loft dormers on 2 jobs. I got a quote originally before I did my quote, added on top, again, not crazy margin, and we was going to be maybe making like £2,000 on one job and I don't know, 1,500 on the other on that part. He's come to now do it at the time, and there's bits that wasn't completely clear on the architect's drawings, but at the same time it was always meant to be done like that. So it's not an additional that we can charge the client, However, this guy's just not going to come and do it for the price he originally quoted. He's like, no, it's an extra grand on this job and an extra like 700 on this job. So again, it's like just eat straight into your margin. And these are things where, okay, you could say you're still making profit, but this stuff happens where then you're losing money. You know, you quote to build a wall that you've quoted $2,000. It can take twice as long as you expected for one reason or another. So that now costs you $4,000, but you'd only put 20% or 30% margin on. Yeah, so it's going to be, what, 600 quid profit, but it's now, I've lost $2,000.
So much that could go wrong.
How long does it take me on? And that's the reason I'm saying it's hard risk reward is because you don't go and make $8,000 on the next wall, so it's going to completely cover all of that. It's still going to be a tight margin. So you've got to get so many of the tight margin tasks done avoid the mistakes to actually stay in profit. I mean, like there is some examples. This is why we do supply now, like products. There's more margin in them. So like this week we've been working on a bathroom. We're supplying the products. We should make like 5k on that. Okay, so it's all like, okay, great, we're making 5k here, but we just lost 1,800 here. We just lost 1,200 here. We just lost, and it's like you're just playing a game of trying to. And this is us with a very good team of people here. Like most companies like ours do not have the same level of team that we've got.
You're good office staff, innit? Like
we've got very good guys on site. We've got very good office staff. Like we've got systems, processes. Like, of course, we're not perfect. There's always tweaking, but we're one of the best around here. Like, do you know what I mean? We're near the top. So I don't even know how we survived when we wasn't at that level, or how other people even think about trying to make a profit. Like and most don't.
Some people just rob Peter to pay Paul, innit?
That's like literally what happens. Because there's like deposits and stuff like that, a lot of people are just bouncing between shit, this job's gone shit, this gone shit, but I've got deposit here and that'll keep me going. And they're just taking a wage and they don't really end up with any profit, you know. So
so much can go wrong in the building game, like materials, shit going wrong on the job. Your staff not necessarily doing what they need to do.
Timing's not lining up. Unforeseens that have knock-on effects. Letdowns on suppliers. You know, we've had it before where we've had big steals to get in. And so I've had 6 guys there. Yeah, and making sure my best smart guys are there as well. 6 guys there. It's costing you, what, 15 or $2,000 probably in labour. The steals never show up. And there was nothing else to do apart from the steals. Just fucking $2,000 down the drain. Do you know what I mean? And it's like
you can do about it.
But this is the sort of stuff, and it's like you can't charge that to the client. You can't. It's just you have to suck this stuff up all the time. And this when you're running 6 jobs or whatever, like we are, takes a couple of these things on each site to happen. And all of a sudden, you know, it's tough.
It's so much outside your control in the building game.
So much outside your control, and then you have to be so good at the things in your control. And if any of that stuff ever starts to slip, then you'll get yourself in trouble. Obviously, like I say, you're talking big numbers, so that, you know, once you've built up and you do have a good business and you are on top of this as much as you possibly can be, then yeah, you can make good profit. But it's tough, and these headaches are hard as well, because you're talking, let's say we've got clients now, a couple clients who are spending over £500,000 with us, right? That's a lot of money. Like they don't care about, if I'm paying you £500,000 for a service, you better be fucking
well,
good.
They're paying £500,000 for, like, that's what people forget as well, right? They're paying £500,000, but for materials, labour, all of that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but
it's
also
it's not going into your pocket.
No, but they
they just see
they don't care. They're giving you £500,000 to deliver on this. So sure, there's costs associated to any product or service, much higher in the building game, sure, but they don't care. Here's £500,000. You better deliver a service of £500,000. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think for them as well, it's probably the biggest investment they've made in their life.
By far,
Other than their house.
Yeah.
Like
they are
£500,000
investing in their house.
Imagine if you invested £500,000 into your property, Jake. You would be on them. You'd be like so particular about where everything's going. Even if there is a small tile missing, you'd be like, I paid £500,000 for
Can't
this.
blame them.
You can't have anything out. That's the only difficulty with going. Like for me, the only option's high end. It's the only thing that I like. I like things to be done perfect, and I like good service and so on. So, and I think it's a race to the bottom if you're not dealing in high end, but that is the only issue. Everything has to be bang on. It has to be perfect. There's no reason for anything to be out. It has to be level. It has to be, the silicon has to be the right, you know, it can't be 2 mil out. It can't be, any kind of discrepancies. It has to just be perfect. If it's not perfect, then you're at fault and you need to change it. And then if you needed to change it, well, guess what? Like we're doing one bathroom, we're doing it in a minute. Just one of the bathrooms in the house, spending £500 a tile, imported from Italy, 5-week lead time. Tiles alone are coming to, I don't even know, 15 grand or 10 grand or something in a bathroom. Just like, there's a lot at stake. You can, if that goes, if you misorder the quantities, if you damage them on delivery, they're big tiles, so they're very easy to snap. Any of these things happen, you're going to be fronting the money of the tiles, the delivery costs, which is okay when you spend it doing a big pallet. If you need 3 tiles, you're going to get hit with £500 fees to get that over from Italy as well. And then the time implications as well, because it's on a 5-week lead time. So there's all these things that it's just constantly you've got to stress of and you're thinking of. You know, we're selling obviously bespoke high-end kitchens and stuff. Again, you're selling kitchens for 50 grand. They don't want any fuck up. It needs to be perfect. Like, and obviously we do a good job. That's why we've got good reputation and it's goes well. I always think like we'll speak to the clients are all happy, everything's running smooth, and it just feels like, okay, that's all good there. Like they don't probably realise like here we're fucking stressed as fuck. We're running around like, you know, super busy. Everyone's stressed. It's like, fuck, what are we going to do with this? Fuck, this has happened. Shit, the suppliers let us down here. Call 10 suppliers. Da, 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 da.
They don't realise how many problems you've already solved.
And then you manage to solve the problem. And they're like,
they don't even know about it.
Yeah, they don't even know. And they're like, oh, great, perfect, thanks. It's like, mate, you don't even understand, did it? Like, we had it with this part that like was 11 quid while I was away. It was like 11 quid a part in the toilet. And for some reason, no one could, the manufacturers sent the wrong bit twice. They needed this part. And anyway, long story short, it was just, they had to call everyone, everywhere, calling everything, like bombarding suppliers, the manufacturers, find out where this part is. It's for 11 quid. We would have paid £200 for this part if someone just had it here in stock straight away. Managed to find it, source it in the end. Literally the only one that fit, and get it done. And the client's, oh, okay, great, thanks.
They don't know. To be fair, sometimes it's good telling the clients you've had to do all of this so they actually understand.
It depends. Yeah, I think it depends to what it is, what's going on and stuff. But a lot of the time, like I said, they don't care. They're busy. You got to remember, if they've got £500,000, these people are successful. They got high power jobs. They're very busy, or they got good businesses. They just here's the money. I'm paying you. I'm engaging you. Like a lot of them, we come in as the highest quote. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, look, I've selected to use you over these other people because we want your service. We want the premium delivery. So I'm paying.
Deliver.
Yeah, deliver. I'm paying you to deliver. Same way as like when you just haven't got time, you want to pay for someone and you just think, right, it's done. Yeah, cool. I can appreciate there's going to be some issues, problems, headaches, hurdles for you to jump over, but I don't want to know about those. You deal with it. Do you know what I mean? So, but mate, when you're doing that day in, day out and you don't get a break, that's the trouble. You can't sack your clients off, like, you know, because you engage with them now for the next 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, whatever it is. You engage with them for such a long time, can't sack them off. You don't get a break. You don't get a pause. You don't say, oh, look, we're a little bit behind for this week. Can we just give us a sec to catch up? Like, no, like it's constant every day. And then it's another thing, another question, You've got the guys on site to make sure you're managing. You've got the deliveries to make sure you're coming on. You've got the big ticket things like glazing, kitchen, flooring to make sure it's on order because you've got 5-week lead times. And you've got that from all your jobs in all the different rooms. You need to sequence those deliveries with the guys also being booked in to go and do the job. It's fucking... And on top of that, you've got new clients you're trying to win. That can take 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, sometimes longer to get over the line. They're not going to use you unless you provide a very, very good service. So you have to also be very engaged with them when you're doing your estimates and your conversations, going site meetings, emails back and forth, because otherwise you're not going to win the next job. So you've got to provide them a really good service for free. And obviously your current clients you need to still be maintaining.
How often do you get it where you've got the quote out there and you're spending a lot of time with these people, and then because like for you to quote something like a 200 grand job, you've got to work out like the cost of the bloody tiles, silicone, flooring, like everything, every minute detail, and that can take a lot of time, like the time and energy that goes into it, and then they'll turn around and go, oh, we've gone with somebody else.
Yeah, so that's what used to happen a lot, and then that's why now and obviously as we've grown in reputation and stuff, so we are a lot stricter on, like, I have an initial call with everyone to screen them, and like if they don't tell me their budget that they've got set aside, like on that call, for instance, I won't even go out. And I have a whole load of different questions just to start getting an understanding if I want to work with them. If not, I won't engage with them. So that's the first step. Next step is a site visit, and I still don't promise them any quote or anything. I say I'll walk around, I'll discuss with you, I'll get a better feeling, we get an understanding of each other, make some suggestions. And then if I still feel like it's all good, I'll do like a provisional cost estimate, which is a lot more basic estimate, still broken down to each category, for instance, like decorating, electrics, plumbing, plastering. And this is obviously what I know it's the region I know it's going to be in, but I've not had to go down line by line and spend hours and hours on it. And then we go through that. If they're happy with that, we sign a letter of engagement, take a commitment fee, and that allows us to then really spend the time and get into the designs and sourcing quantities so that we can then end up accurately pricing. So to answer your question, I try to do that. Sometimes there's like a tender, which is like the architects say, no, you just have to do a full quote from day one and you're going up against 3 people. And then I'll just decide if we want to do it. If we want to do it, we probably win out of tenders. We probably win a third. So we do waste time on 2/3, but then most jobs aren't tender. Most jobs are that they're through us, and I'll do that process that I just mentioned. But like, remember the one Manchester? I had to leave early in Manchester when we went and filmed the pod. Got back.
Oh yeah, I drove your car, wasn't it? To the thing.
dropped like that was a last minute. He was very much wanted to get going very quick, so I dropped everything to try and had a good feeling from him. Just dropped that come on a Sunday morning, left Manchester, drove back from Manchester, went straight to the job, spent hours there.
I had to go and chill somewhere for an hour while I waited for you.
Yeah. Then got straight on it, spent hours on the quotes, back and forth, tweaks, etc. They then said they wanted to go with us. This was like over £500,000 as well. Wanted to go with us. Thought, great, that was worthwhile. Then the next step was can you show them one of our previous clients? They loved it. Then it was, we're waking you booking to go and see the architect at the job. Now, the architect had tried to bring a builders in, and but they just didn't fully trust it. So behind the architect's back, they appointed us. We've then met the architect. The architect was a bit iffy, but seemed fine. There was no reason, no red flags we gave him. There was just a basic site visit. But then after that, they ghosted us. And they started works and never told us they weren't using us, nothing. They just ghosted us, which I've never had before. I was like, that is so weird. And I know it's the architect they still use the architect's builders that they told us they don't actually quite trust, because the architect's definitely getting a kickback.
Yeah,
so
sure.
God knows. You could have given the architect a kickback anyway.
No, but God knows what he said about us. So he's obviously probably earning 50 grand out of it. So he's probably said, no, I wouldn't. They didn't know what they was talking about. Saying, I don't know, but they just ghosted us. And so, like, we put a lot of time, effort into that, and so it does happen, and it frustrated him.
If you could go back in time, do you feel like you still would have got into the trade game, or do you think you would have gone more digital?
I think, like, I know I could fucking build a business, and not shiny penny syndrome style, just if my full focus was in the right industry, I know I'd be 10 times further ahead, probably. At least personally, I'd be 10 times further ahead. Like, I had it with a friend who built a recruitment business, and we started at the same time. And it was like the first couple of years, every time I caught up with him, it was like the same conversation, as in like, oh yeah, I've just done this, this is my idea, this is the steps we could take. And we was like doing the same. Then I find out actually he's personally taking 100 grand profit a month, and I'm still just about like, trying to fucking figure this shit out and just about paying myself or something. Different industry, so much more scalable, so much more margin, so much more opportunity, much better risk reward ratio. And now he's going to smash it. So it's like, which industry you're in is a big
Massively, yeah.
But then at the same time, like we're getting over the line a property we're buying locally here. The plan is to do the property up, sell that, also split the land, try and get planning permission to put another house on it, which I think we should be able to. If that all goes to plan, and touch wood, you never know how it goes, but if it all goes to plan, you know, it could be £500,000 profit in that deal, and that only comes because everyone wants to get in property, and they say, oh, what's the first point, what's the first education? And yeah, you meet people that they don't, but I'm so many steps ahead to be able to go and succeed because going through this business, like if you're just a property investor, you're nowhere near best placed as someone that's in the actual game and understands every detail and can tell you exactly what something's going to cost, call in favours when favours need to be called in, has the supply chain, has the guys, has the management, has, do you know what I mean? So we're so well placed to now enter that market where there is big money. You don't have the clients.
I agree with that. I think everything you've been through over the past couple of years, like a couple of the L's you've taken, I mean, before I even go into that, you've made a lot of dough very young, so you know that you're very capable of doing well. You were 20, 21 years old, you had 100k to your name.
Yeah.
Not many people can say that throughout any stage of their whole existence, let alone at 21. So you know how to make dough, and when you do start getting more heavily involved in property, you know exactly what to do. You know what I mean? So
it was always the plan. Like that's why I've studied property from when I first got in business. I knew if I'm having the building thing, eventually I want to be doing my own properties. I want to do my own developments. Like, so I've always studied property and understood that and tried to understand tax at the same time as having this company. So now I feel like I'm very well placed to succeed.
What's the end goal with Pure? Where are you guys trying to take this? Are you trying to sell? Or are you trying to keep it in the family?
I think we're starting to talk about getting almost like an ecosystem of the company. So doubling down on and separating the brand name for like the bespoke kitchens and joinery. That's a very good market to tap into. So we're just doing that. We know the bathrooms, I can scale up on a bathroom company. We've done that within Pure. Again, I'll probably look to separate it. So you've got separate bathroom company, separate kitchen company, have Pure for the big main stuff. But all of these companies will then feed back as clients. You go and do a bathroom and say, oh, actually, I want my whole house done. Guess what? Our sister company does that, and vice versa. And then I also want to take some smaller shareholdings in other people's companies. So I'm not the main man, but I can help drive it. So like an electrical company, a plumbing company. And again, part of that deal is they obviously get all of our work and it will be at a preferable rate. So it keeps it, you know, your money's just flowing between you.
Ecosystem.
It's a full ecosystem. And then the thing is, when you're doing that as well, I want the thrill of some exits, but I don't need to, especially if I'm getting property, there's no need for me to sell the main company because it's just shooting myself a bit in the foot. But when you have an ecosystem, you can still get the thrill by, all right, let me buy it or acquire this bathroom company. It's doing £1 million a year, scale it to £5 million and sell it. Without having to sell the whole group as such. Do you know what I mean? You can do mini exits and still get that thrill, excitement, big payday, de-risk yourself. So that's the plan in terms of Pure. And then, the property stuff on the side, but it kind of goes hand in hand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's going to pay for itself. And obviously, yeah. Now, obviously, when you go to work or when you have a business, the two things you want to get is either money or education. Obviously, you've gone through the education part. Now, obviously earning money along the way, but now is when like you've done all the class work.
Yeah.
Now like
we've not had any big paydays. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas I want to now start getting those, like the big paydays too, the lumps, which is gonna come. That's when I think it gets quite exciting, isn't it?
Would you recommend somebody to get into the building game the same way you have, or would you advise a slightly different business?
The thing is, I think in the most respectful way, if you've come from a trade and you're not super like entrepreneurial, then there's not loads of business you could probably jump on that are going to be better than doing what you know best. And then if you are super entrepreneurial and you're kind of like me, then there is actually a mad opportunity because there's not many people in the industry that are like that understand the higher end feel and the design and the marketing and the social media and how to actually speak and treat clients and align with them and not just be riff like, oh, you're right, love, da 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 da. You know, you need to go and hold a good conversation, like intellectual conversation with very smart people. And if you can build connections with those types of people, like it's the same, we go founders and we're speaking to multimillionaires and they're building good connections and friendships, etc. It's the same. Then I just go to the clients, they're the same type of people. And it's like, I know how to build connections with these people and get on with them and be aligned to them. If you're just a riff-raff builder, like, yeah, I could do that. Well, you know, you're not going to tap into the same market. So I think if you're very entrepreneurial, then there's a great opportunity. And there's a great opportunity. If you're very entrepreneurial and you're not from the industry, I actually had a call with someone who we know. I won't say it in case I don't know what his plans are, but he was asking me advice. He comes from a marketing background. We've had him on the podcast. And he was talking about trying to get into like a trade industry, whether it's a building company, electrical company, whatever it is, and bring his skill set. And I think there's an opportunity for that. Like if you're an entrepreneur and you can bring that to a builder, and as long as there's a lot of people that have a vision and they want to get somewhere, but they might not know exactly how to get there. They might be hardworking, they might want to grow the company, they might be really good at on the ground, like the operations and the knowledge of that trade or building company. So if you're someone that doesn't understand it and you can partner with them and you can take care of this social media, the marketing, the branding, the making sure everything's done professionally, the contracts are good, the estimates are good, and just overseeing the business from that side of things, I think that's a huge opportunity for people to partner together.
Nice. Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense for sure. I think it's actually funny because when I look back a few years ago, me and Luke had a few quid put away and we were like, let's start a scaffolding business. We know nothing about scaffolding. I was a labourer for a scaffolding company for like a month and they fired me when I was like 16. And we were going to partner up with my pal Spencer, who actually is a scaffolder, but he hates scaffolding. I think he's actually quit now a few years ago. And I was even chatting to my stepdad about how to get started because he's been in scaffolding ever since he come out of the army. So we found a van for like 10 grand. We were trying to find a couple of companies we could buy the equipment from. And then I think me and Luke actually had a discussion. We were like, this ain't a good idea, man. This ain't a good idea. Because I think scaffolders, respectfully, you know, out of all people, are probably the hardest people to manage.
Every business has its own
issue in it with dealing with the guys showing up and trying to get them to come to work in the morning, and that's the thing. There's a lot of money in the industry. There's a lot of high risk.
But what you're saying makes sense though. Like let's say you've got someone who really knows, let's say scaffolding really well. They team up with someone that knows business, then that is the partnership. That's why it work very well.
100%. That's what I'm now starting to do. I'm in a few conversations because I'm a mix of, I already know the industry, I know the thing, and I can plug you into my network, but I still want people that are specialists in their field. I understand it, but I don't want to be the main man running it. So if you're a scaffolder, if you're an electrician, if you're a plumber, you can be the main technician of the business and still running it and dealing with the guys on the ground, but you can bounce off me who's in the industry, so gets it, and also has got the other side to just turn it into a proper business, and it makes a lot of sense. So I think over the coming years I will end up acquiring shareholding in quite a lot of those businesses and being able to turbocharge them, which is what you want, isn't it?
I want to be able to buy a business, because you can finance businesses easier than you can finance houses.
Yeah. Maybe
you could put down 10% deposit. I was actually looking at 2 nights ago.
You don't even need to put down, mate.
You can buy their business and then get an overdraft with that business, which pays for what you just put in, and then straight away.
So mate, sometimes you don't need to put money down. Like, I know someone I went out for lunch with him. Like he's buying multiple businesses at the sake, like smashing. He just acquired one, 3.2 million turnover and profitable, and he ain't put any money down up front. It's paying it off over 3 years. So he used the profits from the business to pay him out. Because if people are selling for when people are exiting a tech business and they've built this to exit and they're super smart, you're probably not going to be able to do that. When someone's selling for retirement, they've got a good business, they've got no one to hand it over to. It is a good business, it is profitable, but they don't have all the boxes ticked, in terms of 2-tier management. They don't have all of the data captured. They don't have, no
social media.
Yeah, they don't have everything ticked. Then it's worth something, but most businesses that go to market don't sell. So if you then approach them, and let's say they wanted, I don't know, whatever, let's say they make him 300 grand a year profit, yeah, and you offered to pay him 150 grand a year over the next 3 years. That's them still exiting the business and leaving and handing over. They're going to get 450 grand for the business. So it's like 1.5 times the profit. This is obviously very industry specific and turnover specific, but let's say if it's around that. But for you've still not overcommitted. You're still you're going to take on a profitable business and still see profit for the work you're doing. The idea is, though, you go in and that 300k you turbocharge to 400k in year 1, 500 in year 2, 600 in year 3, but you still only have to pay them 150. You can put KPIs in place to say that if I do get this business to 500,000 in 3 years, you get an additional 150, so they might end up walking away with 600 grand. That's sort of roughly the way you can one way you could structure it.
Some people as well, like they, so like obviously when you build a business, some people build a business for like their whole life, and now they just wanted to go to the right person. Yeah. So like this guy at Founders the other day, he was doing a talk. He run this company called Kiddie Care, and they end up getting mad offers from like 20 mil from like Boots, 30 mil from Mothercare. In the end, they got Amazon offered them 68 mil. This was like years ago though. And Morrison's offered them 60 mil, and at the time Amazon were coming up, but they felt that Morrison's were the right company to take over the family business because of their values, etc. So they chose to sell it to 60 mil instead of 68 mil, just because they wanted it to go to the right people. And that happens on a much smaller scale as well, like 100%. With smaller businesses where they just wanted to go to someone that's going to look after it, keep the reputation, and that's when you can actually get a good deal.
Especially
right?
The people selling for retirement, again, like they're selling at a smaller scale because they've had their money, they've made the money out of the business. They've actually done really well now. So even if they just close the business, they say, yeah, we've done really well, we've made a couple million quid or whatever they made. So this becomes kind of bonus money or their pension money, whatever. And so it's you can just do really good deals. And
we should definitely get someone on that can do it. We've got that D Ludlow.
It's really hard to tie it down.
Friends with him, but that's a good one. James Sinclair as well, right?
James Sinclair,
Let's follow him up with him. But yeah, it'd be good to get someone on that buys business.
He just bought another business, didn't he?
Well, that's what he does every day. Well, yeah, little mini episode there for you guys.
These boys are off to Bali today.
That's what we got to shoot. That's why it's a mini episode.
Got to get to the airport and gonna go live some life, man.